Good evening, I'm David Brown, and welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. We've been on a 3-week hiatus, but that's not nearly as long as some NSIC golfers have had to wait to figure out their conference champions. The annual golf championship is actually split into 2 parts, 36 holes in the fall, and then another 36 in the spring. When we last saw these golfers on September 30th, Augustana's Tyler Jensvold and Winona State's Mitch Holm led individual competitors at 1 over par, while the Vikings led the team results by 6 shots over St. Cloud State. To Quarry Oaks in Nebraska we go for the final 2 rounds of the Fall Spring Championship. Windy day out on the course, but these golfers would overcome. Check out the approach by St. Cloud State's Tyler Koivisto. Gets within a few feet of the cup. He'd finish in a tie for 6th. And joining him would be Augustana's Parker Klitsky, nailing the 15-foot putt. He shot a final round 73. Teammate Tyler Jensvold could not hold on to his lead. He finished in 4th. But the champion ended up being Mitch Holm. Although he shot a 75 in the final round, the Warrior played better down the stretch than his first-place counterpart in Jensvold. Afterwards, the Winona State junior discussed overcoming his early struggles to take home the crown.
It feels great. I struggled on the front line immensely and I battled back in the back 9, and it feels good to win. I putted great on day 1 and hit the driver well too. And today, the driver got away on me on the front 9, but got it back in the back, so that's why I played well.
Here are the top individual finishers. Holm takes first place with a total of 292, 8 over par. Cohen O'Keefe in second from Minot State at 9 over par. Bemidji State's Andrew Benson finishes third at 11 over, while Tyler Jensvold and Winona State's John Lindquist finish in 4th at 13 over. Now, as far as team results are concerned, Minnesota State, who only had 1 individual golfer in the top 10 and never led the team standings until the final day, comes from behind to take the championship at 60 over par. They were followed by Sioux Falls, Winona State, St. Cloud State, and Augustana. Mavericks head coach Bryant Black says the key for his squad was not focusing on the numbers, but on playing their game.
As a team out on the golf course, we never quit. I think we've won 5 or 6 tournaments this year, and I think a few of them come from behind after the first day. And I think it's just the ability to stay relaxed before a tournament.
When we come back, Northern State Wrestling has had to grapple with a lot in the past few weeks. Find out why the Wolves can finally focus on the mat next.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Well, it's been quite a whirlwind for Northern State Wrestling this past month. In early March, head coach Pat Tim announced his resignation. And then on March 16th, Director of Athletics Josh Moon announced that the program would be suspended for 2 seasons, citing an inability to remain competitive in the NSIC. But on April 8th, 3 weeks after that announcement, Moon reinstated the program immediately thanks to an outpouring of community support. Josh Moon now joins us on the phone from Aberdeen, South Dakota. First of all, Josh, how did it become this drastic in the first place? Why was the decision made to suspend the program?
The model we had just wasn't working. I think we were last in the NSIC in scholarships, operating support, staffing, and we struggled with roster size in recent years, and just overall, high quality Division II experience just wasn't there. And we've had some individual success, national champ a couple years ago, and All-American this year. But I think we looked at the overall team picture, and the overall student athlete experience wasn't where we needed to be. So we made that decision. We're not going to move forward with the model we have. Just wasn't acceptable. So the goal there was to let's see if we can evaluate it, provide opportunities for funding, and restore it back to health. And that's exactly what happened.
Josh, from what you've said in previous statements, the minimum operating budget that Northern State needed was $70,000 per year for the next 5 years. That amounts to a $350,000 minimum donation. Am I correct in assuming that much has already been promised or donated already?
Correct. That's what we have in pledges right now, and I think that's the goal here is for people to fill the first year of their commitments. I think we said in our release, May 1st, we want to have that the first payment, first installment in, so we can move forward immediately with, hiring a head coach. Obviously, we're going to hire a assistant coach we've never had here before. Increase our scholarships, increase our operating budget with those funds.
How are you guys able to bring together so many donors and supporters to reinstate the program in such a short amount of time?
I think the legitimacy started with Mike Moyer, the executive director of the National Wrestling Coaches Association, came in and really channeled the group here, the local group in town, and got them a plan in place and said, okay, here's what we need to work from, and here's how we're going to go after it with the messages, and just kind of having somebody like that come in here and do a review and kind of see where we're at. Really, I think sped up the process, and Mike talked a lot about urgency and how important that was to get this done, and I think that people really responded to that.
Now, Josh, in the past, you've mentioned scholarships and how Northern State at most could offer just 2 for wrestling. So how many more scholarships can be offered now?
I think that still depends. It's still going to be up to the new head coach, but we feel like we could offer at least 2 more scholarships with the new resources that come in. Again, a lot of that's going to be determined on the new head coach and what they want to do, and again, what the final numbers in. We want to get to, I think the average in the NSIC is 5.
You mentioned the number of scholarships might be up to the new head coach. Knowing what this program has been through recently, how do you convince someone to actually take over this team?
I really think it's an exciting time to be here. If you're a wrestling coach and you come in here and you talk about, really a lot of untapped potential here with again, these new resources are going to really elevate this program to where it's never been before. So it's an exciting time for a head coach to come in and actually have an assistant coach to hire and to be able to recruit. In the state of South Dakota, we've got 25 plus NSU wrestling alums that are coaching at high school level that we can tap into with the camp clinic piece and try to get more involvement from them and obviously recruiting student athletes. So I think the health is going to be better than it's ever been.
Scholarships aside, does the funding now help in terms of recruiting all kinds of student athletes?
It gives us a chance to be competitive in the NSIC as a team. I think it gives us the opportunity to recruit more student athletes to drive that roster and make it an even more attractive place to be. We have a wrestling room that's probably one of the best in the country. It's only 2 years old, so the foundation is here, but the base is here. You just haven't seen it in wrestling, so I think this may be a spark for the wrestling community to let's get 1,000 fans for a wrestling duel. Let's kind of rally that support and make this really a neat atmosphere and something that people can get behind. So I think the great thing is Aberdeen is a phenomenal community and very supportive. We hope it's going to translate over to wrestling and really rally behind this new coach and really get after it.
Was there ever any consideration to just amp up the fundraising efforts, or did it take something this drastic, suspending the program and possibly taking it away, to wake people up to the reality of the situation?
The pledges that came in, majority of those were new pledges, to Northern, people that had not contributed to Northern in the past. We did have a few folks that have been great supporters to Northern that have gone above and beyond their current commitments. So that's obviously awesome. But I think again the great thing here is that a lot of that was new money. So those are dollars that Northern had never seen before. So I think for us and for the foundation side, that's a really key thing to kind of open up that door. And was this did this have to happen for that, for this new money to come in? I think people can debate that, but I think that obviously the urgency and everything that kind of went through this, obviously that played a key part in these new dollars coming in.
And lastly, Josh, how do you keep this from happening again?
Now the challenge, beyond this 5 years, is to talk about growing our endowment. We have about $175,000 wrestling endowment right now. We want to grow that to $1 million plus, and talk about the long-term strategy. We want to grow our camp and clinic base, which I think is untapped right now. So there's a lot of potential to grow that. And that's going to be the new coach's challenge, is to really tap into our alumni and kind of keep the support, the momentum going to work on that permanent long-term funding model beyond the 5 years.
Thanks once again to Athletic Director Josh Moon. Well, when we come back with less than a month to go before conference championships, we'll take a look at where things stand in NSIC baseball and softball.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. Well, no matter what level of attention you pay to the NSIC, it was hard to escape a baseball game that got national attention on ESPN. In the second game of a Saturday doubleheader, Minnesota State topped Bemidji State 41-20. No, that's not a football score, it's a baseball score. Here's some other fun facts from that game. 61 combined runs is the second most in Division II history, while the 56 combined hits is a new Division II record. There were 16 pitchers used, 8 by each team, and 110 combined at-bats. Minnesota State would go on to sweep Bemidji State in 4 games over the weekend. And joining us now on the phone is Mavericks head coach Matt Majors. First of all, Matt, when you're in the moment and that game is over, did you know that you were part of something pretty extraordinary?
It's one of those things that playing 4 games in 48 hours, you really didn't have a chance to reflect on it until the bus ride back. Guys were, when you look at some of the box scores and some of the numbers, they stood out quite obviously, but even during the game, we weren't pitching that well ourselves or playing defense that well. So it was like we have to keep winning innings here so we have a chance to win at the end of the game. And, it's one of those things that I think that every athlete's looking for is just, to be able to compete at the highest level and kind of in the moment where the ball is coming in and it looks a little bit bigger than it actually is.
How do you even evaluate things? I mean, are you happy that you scored 41 runs or kind of disappointed that you needed that offense to keep up since your pitching staff gave up 20 runs?
As a team and as a coaching staff, we're always looking for that perfect game. We're looking to play our best at the end of the year, and this team here, we do have some young pitchers and we do have some young position players. So we're just looking for consistency, I guess. So obviously coming out and scoring 41 runs every game is tough to do, but more than just the hits, I guess you're looking at what type of hit is it. Is it a hard hit or is it maybe a little blooper that fell in there? And that game, it was a game where our pitching staff, like you mentioned, didn't really give us a chance to stay in the game. We would come out and score 6 runs, and then they would come back, and we'd give up 7 runs. And that's the thing we're looking for our team is just to be able to be consistent, come out, allow the team to stay in a position to be successful.
Now, once the series with Bemidji State was over, did you and your players really get a chance to analyze everything and put that game into perspective?
It was just a chance in the bus ride home to kind of get back and analyze what had happened and I guess how special the day it was, for our team, and to be able to go out and do that type of stuff is pretty impressive. I think it's one of those things as time goes on here, we'll look back one day and go, God, it was a pretty special day. And the great thing about our team is we were able to put players in there that haven't maybe played a lot, and it was fun to see those guys get in and have success as well.
Again, Matt Majors from Minnesota State Mankato. Well, here are the overall standings as of Wednesday morning, and the Mavs are in second place behind St. Cloud State, who sports a ridiculous 33-3 record. Head coach Pat Dolan says his team's performance is indicative of everything coming together at the right time.
We have a very talented group of players. We have the majority of our position players back from last year. We lost a lot of our pitchers last year, but everyone's playing well. The baseball gods are with us. We're getting a lot of bounces go our way, and you get a little bit of luck, you get some baseball talent, and you put it all together. We're playing pretty dang good defense, getting quality pitching, and when you hit the ball and you put all 3 of those factors together, you're asking for some success.
Switching things over to NSIC softball and looking at the standings, Augustana off to an unbelievable start once again. Just look at their record as of Wednesday morning. But Winona State's not far behind either. In fact, the Warriors, with a victory over UMary on Saturday, gave head coach Greg Jones his 600th career victory. He spoke about that accomplishment after the game.
I think the big thing is about consistency. The ability to have that type of consistency over the years takes great kids and great discipline in the program, and kids that are willing to buy in and do what we ask them to do every day and come out here and show some mental toughness and grit. And it's one of those things in our sport, you count everything, and I had no idea. It's the one thing you don't count is how you've done that way, because to me it's just about win the game you're in, and I guess enough of them add up.
Coming up next, we go under the northern sun at the University of Mary.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. It's time for Under the Northern Sun, where we shine the spotlight on one of our member schools. Tonight, it's the University of Mary in Bismarck, North Dakota, which provides a unique and affordable academic and athletic experience.
The University of Mary has NCAA Division II athletics.
Down into the lane, scoop shot is up, are you kidding?
They take it seriously here and they try to win.
Here's Bagnell, throws it deep down the left sideline, has Stephan, he's got it, and he's in for the touchdown.
It's always fun. There's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
It's a well-rounded education. Unlike most state schools, this is actually a liberal arts college. You have to take an art credit, you have to take some Catholic studies, some philosophy.
You are told to have fun. If you don't have fun, then you're doing it wrong.
The faculty and staff are outstanding.
They genuinely want to see you succeed.
You go to class and you feel at home, you feel welcome.
A lot of the main courses that I needed, that more one-on-one, was small.
I get one-on-one from the teacher so I can actually learn it. So if I don't get it off the lecture, I can actually go to the teacher.
They give you a lot of good opportunities, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom.
I actually got an internship this summer. I'll be working in New York at an accounting firm.
I got the opportunity to do an internship at one of the local hospitals here.
I want the internship. Due to that, I wanted to see if I want to pursue it more and actually get a full degree in it.
I remember when my senior year, I was freaking out because I have to pay for my own college. And I was talking to my advisor and she gave me the number and I just started crying on the phone because I was like, I can actually afford that.
I think it's very affordable. I personally got a couple scholarships, so it wasn't a lot of out-of-pocket expenses.
The scholarship opportunities at the University of Mary are amazing. You can get academic scholarships, athletic scholarships, music scholarships.
I got the Sister Thomas Welder Scholarship.
I received a half-tuition academic scholarship. There are many scholarship opportunities for incoming students.
When we come back, Concordia-St. Paul is breaking new ground in the NSIC sports landscape. Find out the new sport on campus next.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by CU Mortgage Direct LLC, Sanford Health, and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. Well, in 2 years, the NSIC will usher in a brand new sport, and Concordia-St. Paul has become its flagship member. The Golden Bear Athletic Program announced last week they are starting a women's lacrosse team that will begin play in the spring of 2017. It's the first lacrosse program of any kind in the NSIC, and we're joined on the phone by Concordia-St. Paul Athletic Director Tom Rubbelke and Assistant Athletic Director Regan McCarthy. First off, Tom, how did this whole process get started?
This is something we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 years. You know, lacrosse has become Minnesota's fastest growing female sport, especially not only female, but men's and women's. That right now there's a lot of female student athletes at the high school level that are leaving Minnesota to go play competitive lacrosse across the country here, and we just want to keep them in state if we can.
Now, I'm assuming that other NSIC schools will eventually come on board, but until there is official word or confirmation, how do you go about getting a schedule set for 2017?
We will be scheduling as an independent, so there are some different pockets of independent lacrosse schools, specifically down in Florida, so we're hoping to, at least at the beginning, try to fill out our schedule with some of those independents, and then as well as some of the other Division IIs that are offering it as a conference sport. You need 10 Division II contests in order to be NCAA eligible, so we're hoping to go out and find those, and in the meantime, supplement the rest of our schedule with some of the Division III schools in the Twin Cities area that have already added lacrosse. It's going to come to the conference one way or another just because of the way the landscape is, and we just really wanted to be the leaders of that and, quite frankly, gain a recruiting advantage of being the first in our conference to offer it.
And that was going to be my next question. How do you recruit to a program that's brand new?
At this time, there's only a handful of schools that offer this as an intercollegiate sport. So if they want to stay home and play lacrosse, chances are they're going to go to a school where it's a club sport, and they're going to have to pay another $2,000 or $2,500 to play that sport. Well, now we just feel that by offering some scholarship dollars and then the Division II experience, playing a competitive schedule, we think we can keep a lot of those young ladies here, from our state and around the Fi-State area even. We can keep them in this area.
Well, considering the time frame we're in now, there's about 2 years between this date and the first game in program history. What's the first step in that 2-year time frame?
We're going to try and find a head coach here within the next month or so. Get him or her on board and get recruiting. I think it's important. We want to be competitive in our first year, and I think it's important that we give the new head coach time to go out and field the team. Then like we said earlier, we have to get our facilities in order. We have to get a locker room set up. We have to make sure that we have time scheduled on the field. It's just going to take some time to get all that done.
All right, thanks to Athletic Director Tom Rubbelke and Assistant Athletic Director Regan McCarthy for joining us from St. Paul, Minnesota. That's going to do it for us. Once again, a thank you to all of our NSIC member schools for their contributions to this week's show. We'll be back next week for another Northern Sun Experience.